It's time to pick a side. The border war is on the air with BG and TanMan.
All right, gang, welcome into episode 119 of the Border War. I am the TanMan. I'm joined via telephone this week by BG for our couple of episodes. BG, good to be back on air, my friend. It's been a while.
It has been, I guess 2 weeks. Not for you, though, because you have already delved into the unexplored waters of the Quick Take solo show.
Hey, the maiden voyage.
I'm going to be doing sometime later this week, I hope. If I can figure out how to get the little studio program to work without my technical advisor.
I was going to say, we know the brains behind the operation.
I enjoyed listening to your thoughts on Kemba.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you. In episode 119, we're going to be covering some Atlanta Braves talk. The June 1st, or I guess it was today or last night at 12:01, the deadline on Dallas Keuchel and Craig Kimbrel has come and gone, so they are now free and available to be signed. We're going to talk, like I said, talk some Braves, see where they stand. But we're going to start in the college baseball world. The NCAA tourney is alive and well. I think Louisville just advanced to the super regional round. We've had some big names go down. The Tar Heels have advanced, but we're going to start, I think it was in the Oxford, Mississippi region with the Clemson Tigers. They are out, my friend. The Tigers are done. BG.
Eliminated by the Gamecocks in Oxford.
Yeah, BG, like I said, we've talked before. You follow the college baseball a little bit more than I do.
Yeah.
Look, going into this thing, I thought Clemson had as good a shot as any to come out of that regional. So what happened down there?
Well, I mean, I think, quite frankly, South Carolina fans are going to be quick to jump on this and say, okay, this is 4 years in a row that Clemson and Monty Lee, in particular, have been eliminated in the regional round.
Uh-huh.
This year, to me, is a little different. I mean, for whatever reason, this team wasn't terribly strong at any point during the season. They had little stretches where they would put together regional, series wins, but they were a 3 seed on the road for a reason. Ole Miss, in my opinion, played a tougher schedule than Clemson overall and still earned the 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this is that surprising. Clemson, if you want to say they underachieved for the entire season, then that's fine. But to go into Oxford, Mississippi, one of the handful of places that's just as rabid about college basketball as Columbia is, that's a tough place to go win a double elimination tournament. Unfortunately for the Tigers, this ended about like I thought it would.
Well, look, as I was recording the Quick Takes episode Friday afternoon, I had the Clemson and Illinois baseball game on in the background. They actually go down there, they win the first game, get into the winner's bracket, and I think they lost to Ole Miss, and I think Jacksonville State sent them home. What is this, 9 years in a row? Matt Conley had a good article in the state newspaper earlier today, just talking about how this is 9 years in a row. They haven't reached the College World Series or the Super Regional since 2010. He mentions between 2000 and 2010, they went to the Super Regional 8 times, went to the College World Series 4 times before they've kind of hit this stretch. They moved on from Jack Leggett, hired Monty Lee to kind of get out of this little funk they are in, and it almost seems like they've gone from losing home regionals to teams like Vanderbilt and Oklahoma State to now finishing on the road, losing to a team in Jacksonville State that I don't think had ever won an NCAA tournament baseball game before this season.
The way I couched that might have come off like I thought it was something positive. And don't get me wrong. I mean, it's maybe more painful to lose in Clemson for a regional the way they've done the last 3 years, but it's it's still better to be a 1 seed.
Yeah.
So you're right, and I don't so much use the 2010 stat, as much as everybody else. To me, it's more about during their 4 years under Monty Lee. And I mean, at this point, and I said it last year on the show after they lost at home again, that this is becoming a pattern. It's a narrative at this point. And like you said, now, if anything, it's a little worse than that.
Well, let me ask you.
You can really make the argument that they have done nothing but tread water since they fired Jack Leggett.
Well, let me ask you this question. One, it's the one that Matt Conley asked in his article. The first one is it time for Clemson to change their expectations? Because we know what they're doing in football, right? That's a given. Basketball has always just kind of been the other thing. But they've had a baseball program that they've taken a lot of pride in over the years, supported well throughout the years.
No question.
One, is it time to, I guess, change the expectation down there? And two, is Monty Lee going into next season? Is it fair to put Monty Lee squarely on the hot seat? Now, he's had 4 years now, and like I said, seems to be regressing.
In today's college baseball world, it might not be fair. I think it is fair for the AD to go to him and sort of say, look, we need to see some staff changes. We need something shaken up because this isn't where we want to be.
Yeah.
But whether it's fair or not, I think he will be on the hot seat. And the real question is, and we've talked about this with South Carolina in depth. I think I said earlier this year, I just would really hate to be Mark Kingston because the pressure that was being put on this baseball team coming off of really being a couple of outs away from going to the College World Series last year in a season when they shouldn't have, but after the basketball and football team sort of let you down, it's all on the shoulders of the baseball team. Now, Clemson's has the opposite problem. I mean, let's just say I don't think their fans care one way or the other about their basketball team. I don't think that even moves the needle.
Right.
When they made the tournament last year, it didn't really move the needle.
The minute that clock hits zero, they quit caring about basketball again.
Yeah, and the football team is so successful and so on top of the world right now that, frankly, I do think that helps Monty Lee out. I think that you're not going to get a lot of pressure from the Clemson fan base to get rid of him, and I think in their minds he fits that sort of Dabo Swinney mold.
Mm-hmm.
He's a sort of charismatic young coach that fits what I think they're trying to do over there, which might be another reason they don't care much about the basketball program. You used a lot of words to describe Brad Brownell. Charismatic's not one of them. I don't think Monty Lee's going anywhere in the next couple of seasons. But he is definitely not the up-and-comer. I mean, the day they hired him, I thought
it was going to be a home run hire.
I thought South Carolina had missed out on maybe the hire of the decade in the state, and it was really all about timing. Now, it looks like there's a good chance that both of these teams might be looking for another coach in the next few years.
Well, let's be honest. If you want to make the argument that Monty Lee, is not going to be on the hot seat, or it's not going to be as warm as I think it is, the fact that South Carolina is really struggling right now, I think may play into his favor, because you can always go, well, look, we're struggling right now. We're not where we want to be, but we're a lot further along down the road than the guys in Columbia. So,
well, I'll tell you, the entire state of South Carolina struggled in college baseball this year.
Coastal went down.
Suspects.
No. In the state of North Carolina, however,
I was hoping you'd catch that.
I caught it, baby. The Tar Heels are on fire. BG, they go up there. They were the 14th seed in the 16 regional seed host. They went from going down to Atlanta for a super regional to now.
Yeah, I was going to say they got very fortunate there. Georgia Tech just absolutely chokes in the Atlanta Regional.
Oh, my goodness.
And now, I mean, yes, Auburn is a tough matchup, storied SEC baseball program, but they have to come to Chapel Hill. That's exactly what you want.
Well, okay, up in the Chapel Hill Regional, they knocked off UNC Wilmington, pounded Liberty, and then jumped on Tennessee early yesterday and held on to win that one. Starting pitching for the Tar Heels, it was kind of a concern all year. I think when the season started, expectations were super high in Chapel Hill. I know they were for me at least.
Well, we talked about it on the show that we sort of felt like this was the year they didn't just need to make it to Omaha. It might be the year for them to win it all, or kind of feel disappointed.
Yep, the starting pitching was kind of iffy at different points of the season, but yesterday Daniel Berger stepped in, went 7 good innings. He had 8 strikeouts in that win versus Tennessee. BG, they are now undefeated in the postseason play. They went undefeated in the ACC tournament. They're 3-0. They gave up 14 runs in 4 ACC tournament games, 9 in the 3 regional games. 6 of those 9 were the opener against UNC Wilmington. So are the Tar Heels peaking at the right time?
It definitely looks like they are. There's no question. And then, like you said, the starting pitching much improved. I mean, I think Auburn's going to take a game. I mean, this is going to go 3 games. But
that's what I was going to examine.
Carolina's got a good shot at making it to Omaha.
Well, that was my next question to you. Being the SEC man you are, what can the Tar Heels expect from Auburn?
Auburn, traditionally speaking, is one of those teams that does not beat themselves. But like you said, you wonder about Auburn's state of mind. Beating a team like Georgia Tech coming out of that bracket, it takes a lot out of you.
Yeah.
Baseball's a mentally exhausting game, and we've talked about lots of times that this tournament might be the nastiest thing in college sports.
It's tough, man.
I don't think that I don't see North Carolina losing 2 out of 3 to a 2-seeded Auburn team in Chapel Hill. Not the way they're playing.
Going over Auburn's schedule, of course, planned in the SEC, they're going to play more than their share of ranked opponents. In those ranked opponents on the road, I don't see a series that they went on the road and took 2 out of 3 from anybody up until the regional down there at Georgia Tech. The Tigers just 12-12 away from home. On the flip side of that, North Carolina 7-10 away from home, but they are 34-6 in Bosmer Stadium. This thing is setting up for a Tar Heel march to Omaha, just like we expected to start the year. I think they're going to take 2. I think they're going to go 1-2, and they're going to wrap this thing up early, man.
Well, that is certainly what you want to do. We'll see how it ends up. If Auburn wins one, I think it'll be the first game.
Yeah, if the pitching can hold up, I know one thing watching the end of the game yesterday that concerned me, and if you watch the end of the ACC championship game against Georgia Tech, and I don't know if, unless you were a Tar Heel fan, why you would still have that thing on. But Lancelotti in both of those games, trying to close those out, he had some struggles trying to get that 3rd out in the 9th inning. And you get into a little bit tighter ball game than certainly what you had in the ACC championship game. And then last night he had a few runs to play with, but they allowed Tennessee to get the tying run up to the plate in the end. That's got to improve. You can't. You want to get to Omaha, you get out there. You can't be giving away runs and base runners like that. But I feel good about the way they come.
Focus on the first game against Auburn. Is each game really is a season unto itself at this point. And you're going to get a nice long few days rest, whether you lose a game or not, before the meat of the Omaha schedule starts.
Yeah.
Just looking around elsewhere, the Athens regional, to me, Florida State. That's a major upset. It doesn't sound like it. You think Florida State's a traditional college baseball power, but man, I really thought Georgia.
Yeah, you've been talking about Georgia all year.
Yeah, their starting pitching is just untouchable, and not exactly really that's what cost them. But LSU catches a major break there. And so that super regional will be in LSU. Nothing, we already talked about the Oxford, the Arkansas versus Ole Miss super regional. I think that one, if I'm a neutral, I don't give a rip one way or the other, anywhere kind of fan, that's the series to watch. Texas Tech's opponent's still not decided yet. I guess Oklahoma State and UConn are probably playing tonight.
Yeah, they'll play later on this evening, I think.
Yeah.
I see.
Then just looking elsewhere, Oregon State.
That's where I was getting ready to
Florida
go.
State, are they the most snake-bitten team in college baseball? I mean, they just don't ever seem to advance.
Who's that?
They're always a one seed.
Who's that?
Oregon State.
Well, yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, they won 3 national championships in the last 15 years, whatever it's been. I think they win it last year. I think they beat Arkansas last year, but certainly going down hosting their regional. They were the 16th seed, the host, and the teams that came up there. You got Creighton coming from Nebraska, Michigan State, like teams that went up there had a long way to go, a long way to travel. So you figure,
well, I mean, if you can be a good baseball team on the West Coast, that's the advantage because there aren't any others.
Right? Yeah.
Outside of UCLA, I mean, like nobody's out there.
No. Yeah. And so, those teams coming a long distance. I kind of thought, okay, that one they would certainly be advancing. But didn't they go 0-2?
They did.
I think they went 0-2. Look, after they beat North Carolina in I think it was 06 and 07, and then sent the Tar Heels home again last year out in Omaha, I've got no love for Oregon State. I'm happy to see those guys out of there.
Back over on the North Carolina side, I guess there's an outside chance that the Duke Blue Devils travel with the Tar Heels if the Tar Heels make it to Omaha. But I don't want to break your heart, man. I know you'd love to see that, but Vanderbilt's going to toss them aside like a rag doll. Vanderbilt is just a different level of baseball right now. You said Louisville advances.
They almost gave that away.
They are awaiting the winner of the East Carolina Campbell game. Friend of the show, our buddy Ty, who came up with our box theory. His dad, long years ago, was the coach at Campbell University's baseball program. Then down at the bottom here, we've got Mississippi State. Not a talked about team in a lot of ways, but a really, really, really good SEC team. Also on North Carolina's side of the bracket. So, if you haven't started watching yet, these super regionals have some pretty nice matchups.
Well, look, if North Carolina goes through and it advances to the championship series, we're a long way away from that. But if the Tar Heels advance through, they will have gone through Tennessee, they will have gone through Auburn, a possibility of going through Mississippi State and Vanderbilt. I want an SEC Champions T-shirt. That's what I want. I'm going to declare North Carolina the SEC champions of the baseball champions of the SEC, and I want a T-shirt that says that.
I mean, if only you could have beaten South Carolina. But, you can't have everything.
Well, look.
Can't have everything.
Well, look, it beat you 35-2 every year for the last 22 years. You were bound to get one.
Okay, hold on, Tommy. It was 35-4.
Oh,
okay?
I'm sorry. I didn't.
If you're gonna throw out stats, at least know what you're talking about.
I didn't mean to short you a couple runs.
Okay.
Moving over to the Braves side, we checked in. It's been a few weeks since we checked in on the Braves.
Yeah, let me just throw this out there to start with. I was really wrong. I was really wrong.
Well,
you remember what I said?
No.
I said by the middle of June, which we're not there yet. We're still a week and a half away from the middle of June, but that the Braves will be 10 games under 500.
Oh, yeah, I do remember. No, that didn't age well.
No, and I mean, and the thing is, the bullpen hasn't been measurably better. They've had better games from here and there, but the offense, has just been insane.
Yeah, well, look,
they might have from top to bottom the most dangerous lineup in baseball right now.
Well, it seemed like the last time we checked in on the Braves, it seemed like they were out there on that Los Angeles road trip. They wound up losing three in a row, I think, to the Dodgers, and since then, going through their schedule, they've won. They've won every series since then. So every series for almost a month, with the exception of the 2 losses to Washington. earlier or last week sometime.
Yeah, kind of inexplicable
beatdowns
by the Nationals.
Just got pounded.
Which has always been a club the Braves have sort of struggled with, even when the Nationals were the Expos.
Yeah, but
they struggled with them.
After the Dodgers series, they lost the first one in Arizona. They set it 18-20, and they are now at 32-27. So, BG, what's been the biggest key to the Braves turnaround here?
Well, it's funny. I mean, if you go back and listen to our show from, I guess it was about 4 weeks ago when we talked about him, we didn't talk about Austin Riley.
Yeah,
Riley
he has come through.
The team yet.
He has come through in a big way.
Have you ever seen a guy? Has it been since Andrew Jones? Since you've seen a kid come up from AAA and make an impact like this kid had? I mean, he's in the top 3 and 4 on all their offensive statistics already.
Yeah.
He's got an OPS over 1,000. I mean, he's already got 22 hits. He's driven in 8 almost exclusively. He's got 8 home runs. He's driven in 22, which puts him 4th or 5th on the team already. And, I mean, 5th on the team, having only played, I don't know,
2 weeks?
15 or 20 games.
Yeah.
I mean, the kid, and he hasn't really cooled off. And what I've really been struck by is his poise. And much like we sort of talk about, I don't know, cornerbacks in football that maybe don't show up on the stat sheet, but, they take away a side of the field. Or we've talked in basketball about how, it's not a plug-and-play sport. You can't just put guys on a basketball court and inherit all their stats from their previous stop. But what I think happens in baseball, even though you can kind of plug them in and look at their stats individually, is the effect he's had on how you can pitch to this lineup. And the answer to how you can pitch to this lineup is you can't pitch to this lineup anymore.
Right.
There is nowhere to hide.
Right.
Nowhere.
Okay.
And, I mean, you continue to talk about Dansby Swanson. My man has 41 RBIs. If I had asked you at the beginning of the season if Dansby Swanson would take 41 RBIs at the All-Star break, what would you have said?
Oh, absolutely. Take it and run.
Yeah.
Take it and run.
We gave him up the road. I mean, like this, and I mean, I think he deserves a ton of credit. He's not getting talked about nearly as much as he should, probably because Austin Riley is the new hot thing. But he's leading this team in RBIs right now.
Well, Austin Riley presents Atlanta with an interesting spot because you're not taking him out of the line. As long as he's raking and swinging the bat right now, like he's not going anywhere.
And I know where you're going with
this.
Yeah,
you got Acuna, you got Nick Markakis kind of entrenched out there in the outfield, and so it kind of leaves Ender Inciarte as the odd man out. Early on in the year, the GM Alex Anthopoulos, I hope I said that right. He commented about let's get to June because everyone's harping about trying to make a trade and improve the bullpen, and he's like, look, we're 2 weeks into the season, like those deals just aren't out there right now. Now see where we are. Now that we've hit June, now that they've kind of gotten things rolling a little bit, they're not that far off of the pace that they were this time last year. We got some possible names Atlanta could target, but do you think Inciarte's name is going to come up in some of these trade talks now?
Absolutely.
See, I think
absolutely.
I think I would try and hang on to him. I'd hate to see that, but I'd try to hang on to him.
You're thinking like me. I mean, Nick Markakis is on a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
Ender is obviously a lot younger. But here's the fact of the matter is they need bullpen more than they need outfield. Here's a trick question for you.
Uh-huh.
What's higher? Austin Riley's, let's just pick one. Let's see. Which one? Which one do we want to go with? Austin Riley's on-base percentage.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm sorry. Austin Riley's batting average or Inciarte's on-base percentage. Which one do you think's higher?
I'm going to say Riley's batting average.
Yeah, it's about 4 points higher than Inciarte's on-base percentage.
Yeah, look,
this is a guy who's batted some leadoff, and you count some walks in there. Batting .218, like you said, it's June. They're just, like you said, man, you can't, other than spot starting him to give some guys a break, there's nobody out there that you can take out.
Well, look, the Atlanta farm system is flush with young arms. I mean, that's been talked about from here to the end of time. I think I would just like to hang on to NCAA as that fourth outfielder, because Austin Riley, he's been up for, what'd you say, 3 weeks to a month now.
Yeah.
And he's been smacking the cover off the ball, but at some point, like, he's gonna hit a wall. You know what I mean? Like, he's gonna hit a wall. He's gonna cool down some, and when he does, and maybe you need to give him a couple days off or something like that. Like, I just think NCAA would be a guy that I would do my best to hang on to.
Now, you got to remember too, there's other outfield prospects that are probably better than NCAA in the farm system. And let me make this argument too. You're right if you could have everything.
Yeah.
But since you can't have everything, would you rather have NCAA or a couple of stopgap middle relievers?
Look,
and that's what you get down to.
Yeah,
You're not talking about trading NCAA for another outfielder.
Yeah, look, they kind of kicked the can down the road on that bullpen deal they made a few weeks ago.
Did they?
That does nothing. So I definitely think they're going to wind up making a deal, whether it's Cologne from the White Sox. I saw the name Cam Bedrosian for the Angels. I think Atlanta needs another Bedrosian.
Since the last one got vertigo after, what did he play, like 2 games?
No, Steve? No, he was there for a little while.
I'm thinking about a different guy. Who's the guy that got vertigo?
I don't know.
What's his name? Outfielder that came from the Red Sox. I don't know why I got him mixed up with Steve Bedrosian. Steve Bedrosian was the sidearm pitcher on RBI Baseball. I used to like to play on the Nintendo.
Yeah, he had a fantastic beard. Whether or not that is, but here's a name that I saw come up, and one we wanted to discuss with you. And if NCAA was included in this deal, I'll help him go down there and pack his bags. Madison Bumgarner from the Giants. The Braves are on his 8-team no-trade list in his contract. But BG, I think that's a smokescreen. I saw where he can cash in on about an extra $1 million for waiving his no-trade clause for one of those teams. I think Madison Bumgarner to Atlanta makes a ton of sense. What about you?
Well, I mean, look, he is the pitcher come the postseason.
And he wants out of San Francisco, they say.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, if you can get it done and you don't have to ransom your future to do it.
Well, it's going to look, Bumgarner, if you make that deal, like, you can't show up to the table and try and lowball them on that one. Like, you got to come with a big time offer. It's going to include some of those young arms in the system. They've got gracious plenty to make a deal like that. Maybe you throw NCAA in that deal, but how's this? Over his 9-year career, I saw where Madison Bumgarner had made just over 57, or just between 55 and $60 million over his career. BG, this guy has been severely underpaid. That blew my mind.
Well, it's probably just the timing of his first deal and how long of a contract he chose to sign. But you're right; it seems like the Giants would have come to him
a long time ago.
Then again, that's the sort of thing that makes winning World Series possible, when you get a guy like him and you're not paying him.
Yeah. Well, we said it at the opening of the show. The clock has run out on the draft pick compensation for signing Dallas Keuchel and Craig Kimbrell. These are the two names that Braves fans have been falling all over themselves about for months now. It seems like Kimbrell seems like the no-brainer to me, but is Atlanta going to land none, one, or both of these guys here in the coming days?
It's just a pure gut feeling, but I don't think they're going to sign them. And I don't have a good reason for that. I don't know why they're not going to, but I just feel like their indifference to that issue during the offseason, I just don't see it.
Well, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Cowboys and the wide receiver position going into last year. I thought, we'll be able to make it work, and then you kind of get halfway through it, and you go, oh crap, we're in trouble here. And then they went out and made. And then
if you want to do the Cowboys and Earl Thomas, I mean, it just seemed like it was
too easy,
already
right?
Done.
Yeah.
And it's just like I always come back to this, but man, when something seems so obvious and everybody knows that it's going to happen, it's not going to happen.
See,
it just never does.
They say Keuchel is looking for a 1-year deal, so it seems like he's kind of aware of his market at this point.
Yeah.
Look, I know Kimbrel wants the long-term deal. If he can find it somewhere, God bless him. I don't think anybody's going to give it to him. I think he's going to, he's going to end up having to settle for what the market dictates. And if that's the case, then I think Atlanta will jump in on it.
I've wondered this whole time is like we keep talking about Craig Kimbrel. Why, yeah, he might have wanted to play for the Braves, but man, like you said, man, it's June the 3rd. So why is no one else making Craig Kimbrel an offer he wants? I mean,
like I said, they said because Boston had extended him a qualifying offer, that if you signed him before like midnight last night, if you signed him before then you would have to give up compensation to Boston. And I think for Atlanta, it was going to be like the 9th pick or something like that in the upcoming draft. No, I'm not giving up. I'm not sending the 9th pick up there to sign a guy who, let's face it, is not the guy he was 4 or 5 years ago.
No.
But now, like I said, now that attachment, now that that's off the table, there is no good reason not to sign Craig Kimbrel. Because, like I said, I don't think he's going to get the deal that he has in his head. Like I said, if he does, then you tip your cap and tell him good luck. But if he comes back and realizes what the market actually is for him at this point in his career, then there's no reason not to. Absolutely no reason. Now, Keuchel, maybe not. But for Craig Kimbrel, there's no reason not to. I think they go out and get Kimbrel. I think.
Well, I hope they do.
I think this time.
I just don't have a good feeling about it.
I think the next time we hit the airwaves as a duo, Craig Kimbrel will be back in Atlanta. That's my prediction.
Just so you know, steady listeners, that'll be a couple of 3 weeks from now.
I was going to say
a lot of vacations coming up for the hard-working Border War crew here.
Well, I was going to say we spend a lot of time trying to bring quality content to our listeners, and I think we've earned a break.
We have, and they've probably earned a break from us.
There's no doubt about that.
Hey, if you want to know though how deep this Braves team is, and this lineup and this pitching staff, you realize we just did an entire Braves segment. We did not mention Ronald Acuna Jr. or Freddie Freeman. Didn't even say their names.
No, listen.
Think about that.
Listen,
you couldn't have done that last year.
No, listen. There's something going on down there in Atlanta. Like I said, they're not that far off of the pace that they were. I know they got hot kind of towards the end of the summer and really kind of took control of the NL East, but they're not far off from where they were at this point last year. They go out and get some bullpen help, much less make a monster deal like the Madison Bumgarner deal, and then we're talking about a whole different team, a whole different scenario.
No doubt.
But that's it for episode 119. You can follow us on Twitter at The Border War. We're on Facebook. You can email the show at carolinaborderwar@gmail.com. Let us know what you think. Are the Tar Heels going to advance to Omaha? Are the Braves going to make a deal? Are they going to sign one of these two guys we've been talking about forever and a day? Let us know what you think. Anything else to add to the episode, my friend?
I don't think so. I'm still sort of chuckling about the fact that Clemson got taken out by the only other team in the country with the mascot of the Gamecocks, but they are good at that in college baseball.
Yeah, a simple no would have sufficed. We'll see you. Stick around for episode 120. We're going to be talking NBA Finals. Did the Raptors blow it last night?
Yes. No reason to listen now.